how to smooth out the loading gate on your Citadel LevTac right now on Pirate Firearms and Reloading. So if you're sick of beating up your thumb on a loading gate, this is going to be the video for you. So right now I've got the Citadel LevTac in front of me. If you're unsure how I got to this stage of disassembly, go back and check the previous video. I have a full instructional on how to get it stripped down to this point. So now I'm removing the rear screw which holds the loading gate in place. Now these take a little bit of fiddling to get out, and when you think you've backed the screw all the way out, it's not quite, so just keep going and then wiggle it around. The screw will eventually pop out, and then with a bit more work you'll be able to drop the loading gate out, just like this. Now on this particular rifle, the loading gate itself is pretty smooth. It's been rounded nicely before it was finished, but I want to point out the angle of the spring tab. If you were worried about the tension against the loading gate, you could possibly modify this angle. So you're going to need a couple of basic tools. A flat file, now these are all needle files. You're going to need a half round file and a rat's tail or a rounded file. So I'm going to use all three, and what I'm going to focus on is the back and side area mainly. I don't want to get too involved with the front because there's less material inside and I could potentially make the edge sharp. So this here is a game of patience and angles. What I'm trying to do is it currently has a sharp 90-degree angle, and I'm basically making a 45-degree bevel over that sharp angle, which will mean it won't tear up my thumb when I'm trying to load this rifle. Now the trick is to take your time, take it slow, and take a bit of material at a time. Then at that point you want to draw the file over it like you can see there and test it with your finger. And just keep working your way along the loading port. So as you can see, I'm just slowly working along here, along the side, right up to the front of the loading gate. Give it a quick wipe over and give it another test with your finger. When it starts to feel smooth, you can move on to the next piece. So now's the tricky part. You need to use the half round file, obviously, for the back of the loading gate, and you want to try and keep the same line all the way through. So both sides and the rounded part should have roughly the same line on them. And this is where you'll need to smooth it all together. Right, from now on I'm going to speed up the rest of the filing process because you now get the principle. Okay, so now I'm pretty happy with the way I've done it. I'm going to have a look now and just check everything looks pretty good, and it does. I don't want to get too aggressive at this stage. I'm just doing this as a bit of a tutorial and to smooth it up. I'm now going to just gently touch the front of the loading port as well. Because this part of the side of the receiver is relatively thin, I don't want to make it too sharp. Or what I'm going to do is actually create like a knife edge on the front. And as I push my thumb forward, that's a good way to try and split your thumb in half. So I'm really just taking a light little bit off there and just wiping and checking it as I go. With the side and the rear piece, the receiver material is very thick and it'd be nearly impossible to create like a knife edge. As you can see, I'm sort of rounding it by starting at a very shallow angle and then working my way in sharp like that. That allows me to create a quite rounded effect. I'm using the half round just in the little notch of the loading gate. Okay, so once you're happy with the general condition, you're going to need a couple of things. Painter's tape and a sharp knife, scalpel, craft knife, anything like that. You could use duct tape, you could use electrical insulation tape. Painter's tape seems to work for me. It doesn't leave too much residue as well. Remembering whatever you put on here afterwards, you're going to want to clean the receiver, make sure there's no residue which could cause corrosion. So once you've covered the loading port, take your sharp knife. This is where a craft knife comes in really handy because it's nimble and extremely sharp. And what I'm essentially doing is tracing around the loading port. What the tape's going to do for me is protect the side of the receiver and protect its finish. So it will allow me to do a final polish on the now exposed metal without the risk of scratching the side of the receiver. Now, if you're new to using files and this whole concept is a little bit foreign, you may want to put tape on it way back at the beginning before you even start filing. I've chosen to do it afterwards just purely so I could see what was going on without the interference of tape. But that'll depend on your confidence level. Now I've got some diamond grit wet and dry. Now typically you would dip this in water to clear the filings from the grit. Being so fine, this stuff grits up pretty quickly, but because I don't want to put water on freshly exposed metal, I'm actually going to use WD-40. Now that's not quite how they intended to use it, but it's always worked for me. And now I'm just going to work my way slowly around the loading port, smoothing it out, giving it a sort of polished edge. Now once you're happy with the finish, peel away your tape and you're going to want to do a final inspection. I'm also going to wipe the side of the receiver with WD-40 just to make sure there's no adhesive that's going to cause corrosion. Now paper tissue is probably not the best thing to do this with, but I just want to get some WD-40 on there and get any residue off. So this is the result. I haven't done much, it doesn't look like much, but it is a serious improvement over the factory condition. Now, as I get more confident with this rifle, I'll probably take more. Now what I'm going to do off camera is go and flush it out with some WD-40. This will get all the filings out. Now I could have taken more parts out of the receiver, but I chose not to just for the simplicity. Now I'm just lifting up the muzzle end, and I'm going to take some compressed air and just blow the rest of it out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I release new videos every Friday, so hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on anything. See you in the next one.